How's it going, everybody? Latino Free Minds. We're back at it. Episode 15. We're gonna hit that 100 soon, hey? But we're here talking about important things, and I think as the more we do this, and I think we said this before, like the more comfortable we get, the more the conversation just kind of flow, freely, and so I think it's to the point where it's like we can start on one topic, and a lot of these topics that we want to talk about, they branch off into so many other things, and I think through our conversations you can kind of see that.
Yeah, there's like a common theme amongst all of the topics,
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it kind of like gravitates to the main theme, which is what we started off with is manipulation.
Yeah.
I think that's why it was a perfect start, to have that, because that's exactly what it is. And it sounds like broken record type of stuff, because it always kind of leads back.
It boils down to that.
Yeah. So it's like try to make a conscious effort to avoid getting there too quick. But there are so many things going on, which makes it easy, to stay away from it. But I think it's important, kind of like how we do when we're talking at the end of it. It kind of ends up in that area anyway, so we end up talking about it. But I think that's important because it just shows how everything is, ultimately about that.
Yeah, no, that's true. And at the end of the day, like when you have when you're doing any kind of, let's say, not that we're investigating, but just to use the word, any kind of investigation, you looking into things, at the end of the day, you got to find out, if you want to find out why it happened, you got to find the root cause. And for a lot of these situations, a lot of these conversations we're having, the root cause is the manipulation aspect of it. And that is how, as we said before on our first episode, it's like that's like the main tool that they use. So as much as we may go on different topics, at the end of the day, the root cause of a lot of those always end up going back there. And I think, like you said, is a good way to start the podcast, because it's just, that's just what it is.
It's on point.
It's on point. And that's what, from episode 1 to now, number 15, that's, if you've been tuning in, you've heard us talk about it. And I think every listener has probably understood why we started with that topic specifically, to start this podcast. And, lo and behold, here we are again. Another example, another, situation where kind of it shows or proves, what we're talking about. And, one of the things that just went out, I think it was yesterday, or I believe it was yesterday, was how the Biden administration, the Democrats, their main strategy for 2024 is to basically, in their terms, is get an army of social media influencers to target the 18 to 29-year-old demographic. So the young minds. So, when you hear that, at least, when I hear that, probably when Danny hears that too, you think, okay, I hear that as, all right, they want to manipulate the young minds with people that for some reason or another they trust. And yeah, I guess you could say they're influenced by. So, I see that kind of headline and I think, okay, they're trying to manipulate the youth to gain their power, or keep their power.
Yeah. And I don't know which episode we talked about this, but when you're manipulating, there's a certain age where you've lived long enough where you start noticing patterns. So, they start separating you from the family, start separating you from your beliefs. You
Mm-hmm.
stray, you live a little, you learn, and you're like, nah, that wasn't right. Then
Mm-hmm.
you start going through a different journey, and you go up and down and around. And right around when you're 30, you start piecing everything together, and you're like, all of that was BS. And then you start going back to those original roots. So it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that they're targeting, what is it, 18 to 29?
18 to 29. Yeah.
So look, we talk about patterns.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pattern right there. They're not even hiding it. And I know that they do studies on this,
Mm-hmm.
and they're targeting that age group for a specific reason.
Yeah.
We've been joking around about people waking up. All those 30-year-olds, they got that eye opening up, if not two eyes open already.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to be surprised because it's not going to work. It's not whatever they're doing
Mm-hmm.
when they come out and force it. It's they don't have enough time to make it seem genuine, so it's going to come out. It's going to feel forced. Whatever they're going to push out, and people, when you try to force someone to do something, they reject it. And I was listening to the radio earlier, and someone had reported that at some grade school, at some sort of tournament, like I don't know, volleyball tournament. I don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
The kids, not adults, the kids were chanting, "Let's go, Brandon."
Oh, I saw that video.
You saw it? What was it?
It was like a wrestling tournament.
Oh,
And
wrestling.
it was just a bunch of kids on the mats, and they're just banging the mats, and they're going, "Let's go, Brandon," and da 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 da. And it's like it's all kinds of kids. It's not even like you said, it's not adults. It's a bunch of little kids, and it's like
Yeah.
it's cool to see because it's like they're still young. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're small kids. So like you said, it's not gonna work.
Uh-uh.
And
And
mhm,
the key word is influencers. So we
mhm,
talked about being the biggest influence in our kids' lives. So they want to take that away from us. They want
yeah,
to be the ones that shape and mold their minds and guide them and direct them and mentor them.
mhm,
And there's nothing wrong with being the biggest influence in your kid's life. So that's another reason where, you know what? Take a look and pay attention to, what your kids are listening to, whether it's music, social media, all that stuff. Get
mhm,
involved, get in there, mix it up a little bit with them, or a lot of it.
yeah. I think that like I was saying, it's like they're going after the young minds. So it's important for us as parents to stay on top of our kids. Like we said before, what they're exposed to, whether at school, on television, music, whatever it is, right? Because in all those aspects, there is some type of person trying to influence your kids based on, whatever's on their show, whatever they say in their music. And it's the young minds because as we said before, the young minds are more impressionable. It's easier for a young mind, and I'll say this from my personal experience. It's easier for a young mind when you're 18, 19, you're going to vote for the first time, you know, the party that tells you everything you want to hear or everything that sounds nice or gets the most positive media spin, you're going to fall for that. And, especially if you're not so into like this, the politics aspects of it and all that, like it's easy. I can see why they would move to target those because I believe those people, it's like easy votes to attain if that kind of
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. Damn, it's I'm trying to picture in what world what they're trying to do is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't see it right now. If I think what's taking me to that conclusion is that everything is forced right now. Everything that they're trying to do is forced.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Bud Light thing with the transgender, on there and stuff like that. It's like they don't. They're targeting audiences where it doesn't even make sense. It's like, why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
To like a beer. If you did it to like a Smirnoff, or I don't know, something that
Yeah, yeah,
ladies drink or something like that, then I would say maybe that makes a little bit more sense.
yeah.
But they're not even thinking it through.
Mm-mm.
It's like um,
I was
I heard
seeing
earlier today that
uh
dude, Anheuser is worth like billions on billions on billions of dollars. I think like they're in the 100 billions,
hmm
as far as their net worth is, or
hmm
something like that. So as as big as they are and wealthy that company is, just in this small time period, it's shaved off. It's dropped like $4 billion or something like that.
It says Anheuser-Busch has a market cap of 132.53 billion. But yeah, I saw that too, that they had dropped 4 billion just in this. What is it? It's been less than a week, I think, or a week at the most.
Yeah,
And
and
uh
think about this. I saw a video of a guy in a small town. He was at the store and he took a picture or a video of how they stack the beers like in the
mhm.
store and stuff like that, like almost like in a pallet, but they make it look nice.
Yeah,
All of the Budweiser and Bud Lights were like, I'm not gonna say untouched, but
they were.
it was the stack was all there. Like, people aren't purchasing them. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling the cashier, "You ain't gonna be selling those beers." And then the cashier goes, "You know what? That's funny that you say that because we haven't been selling them in the past, week or something like that." He's like, "Well, you're not going to be selling them." So
Mm-hmm.
he goes, "Okay, well, like, we'll have them pick it up then.
Yeah,
The distributor, or cancel the order, or whatever they do." I don't know how liquor stores or convenience stores function, but my point is this: is that those orders haven't even started to be canceled the way that they're going to be canceled.
yeah,
And and they're already down 4 billion. So can you imagine once we're a month in, 2 months in?
yeah. I mean, it's man. That's the thing. Like, you talk about that person, that guy that they're using as an ambassador for their brand. It's like it's kind of what I had talked about a few episodes ago, where you know people keep, and I think you had put it this way. It's like you give them more. Uh, how did you put it? You give them more spotlight, like more. You end up promoting it too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like that, specifically that guy, like, I don't follow any of his social media, nothing. Like, there's no way for me to run across that guy, right? But where
Mm-hmm.
do I see him? I see, all these conservatives there, again, I get why they're posting it, but they're doing it more for the reaction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Point where you're not even, to me, you're not, it's you're just trying to get a reaction out of people, and you're promoting it even more. You're giving it more spotlight.
Yeah.
And I think people can do that on their own, right? Like, okay, I know Bud Light is doing that now. So it's like, okay, I won't buy Bud Light. I won't buy Budweiser. And, I'm looking at the brands that they, some of the brands they do. Budweiser, Stella, Michelob, Estrella Jalisco, Shock Top. You know what I mean? Like, okay, then I'll me on my own, I'll make sure I stay away from those, right? So, buy, I don't know, by Modelo.
All right, what are we gonna be buying now from now on?
Well, I don't see Modelo on here, so we're still good with that one.
All right,
Modelo.
Modelo time.
Heineken's. I don't see Heineken on here. So,
All right, we can do Heinekens too.
but you know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's just why they choose to do that is to normalize and again to choose someone that they consider an influencer to be all over their brands, right? I think Nike also just uh hired that guy to be
Who
the
did?
Nike
Oh, goodbye Nike.
hired that guy to promote women's clothes. And
Women's clothes.
yeah, so it's just
So they're
it
gonna make like a hideaway on their shorts or what? On their joggers, tuck away,
something I don't know.
a tucker. Does that come with a tucker?
That's what it's called. Instead of a yoga pant, it's a tucker pant.
Yeah, it's a tucker.
But anywho, it's like they get those people right, and they give them that spotlight, and then they think, okay, this person's gonna influence other people to buy our product. When at the same time they're literally alienating the people that have bought their product.
Mm-hmm.
So they alienated everybody that bought their products to try to get a different group to buy their products. So I think, losing
But
that.
is that their play? Is that really their play?
Well, I mean, I saw the video of the lady that's, kind of is she like to promote the marketing manager and the way she talks, that her play is to get inclusive. You know what I mean? That's
Okay, so
that's how she's going with it, and they're losing.
okay, so you know why they're losing, right?
I would say because they alienated their regular base as far as customer base.
So these are my thoughts on this. You know how I say that it's an illusion that they give us that they're the majority,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is that I like to call things the way that they are. So I use the Second Amendment. Guns aren't for hunting.
Mm-hmm.
They're to stand up for citizens to stand up against a tyrannical government, right?
Right.
And I'm going to show you a shirt that I ordered when it comes in
Okay.
about that. And then what was the other one that I used on the last episode? So there's that, and then there's the voting.
Mm-hmm.
So let's call it what it is. Is that there's been cheating for many, many years, and we just have to call it out the way that it is.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have to do with these people hiring these brand ambassadors and influencers is they're the minority trying to shove that to the majority, which is us.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand on that. I still feel like whatever illusion that they're trying to feed us that they're the majority, it is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what's happening verifies that.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is if they were the majority, they would have Anheuser-Busch wouldn't have dropped $4 billion in a week, or let's give them a little bit more credit in 8 days or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If they were the majority and they were pushing this out, you probably have 50-50 embracing it and, the other half not embracing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this proves that they're just trying to feed that illusion. They are
Mm-hmm.
not the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Hell no, they're not the majority.
And I think you're the one that and I had seen it before too, but I think recently you sent me that map that kind of shows how the whole country is basically red and you got your blue spots, here and there. I think I agree with you. I think the majority, we're part of the majority. However, I think they have the majority I guess the best way I could put it is they have the majority in the forms of communication, or like, like news outlets, social
Hmm.
media, like the way people kind of interact with each other. They have the majority there. And if, in a sense, you know, social media and all this, like people get all their information there, you know what I mean? Or at least a
Hmm.
majority of it. So I think that's what helps them drive that illusion as well, because they have that control. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like they have a lot of
Well,
control.
we talked about it in the first episodes. Is
Hmm.
who's gonna rise to the positions of power?
The corrupt,
It's like criminals,
non-moral. Hmm.
unmoral. They don't give a damn about doing things the proper way or anything. If they could cheat, they're gonna cheat. If they're
Hmm.
gonna use dirty money, they're gonna use dirty money. But they're going to rise to the top because of that.
Hmm.
And someone can argue me that that isn't the case. That is the case. History. If you break it down throughout history, the most ruthless, most cutthroat people will rise to the top before
Hmm.
anybody that does it, the moral way.
Hmm.
I think is the best way that I can think about putting it.
Yeah.
So, um, look at what all of these people are promoting. Okay,
Hmm.
so there's there's something that came out. There was a meme that came out about Trump, and it said something to the effect that the president that has saved most lives from child trafficking.
Mm.
So what people don't know is that, especially in California, there was like stings that they were busting child traffickers and stuff like that, and it wasn't like little numbers. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they saved 3 kids or something like that, right? It was like, no, it was like 50 kids or more, arrested 15 people involved in the child trafficking and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And and then there's politicians that are trying to lower the age of consent, down.
Hmm.
And then there's all these people, um, like what's the latest Supreme Court appointee?
I forgot her name. Something Jackson, right?
Yeah. So you guys can look it up, but she had, I want to say, about 8 cases where there was child abuse,
Hmm.
and she fought to give them the lightest sentences that she possibly could. And from at least some of the cases, there were some pretty gruesome, like details and stuff like that of
Hmm.
testimony, evidence, and things of that nature. And she was still fighting to give them the lighter sentences. So just
Yeah.
look at the patterns. Is um, it's just sickening, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of these people that what do they call those lists where they're uh, you look them up on a website and all the predators,
Predators, the sex offenders.
sex offenders. A lot of
Hmm.
these appointees and politicians and stuff like that are, to our surprise, if we look it up, it's going to be pretty surprising how many of them, are on those lists.
Hmm. Yeah, and then just recently, this I want to say a week ago or two, um, the Democrats here in California rejected a proposal that would make human trafficking a violent and serious uh, felony. I think, um, Because I think right now, it's a serious or a violent felony. Because I think right now, and I could look this up. Human trafficking isn't a serious felony in California. I don't even think it counts towards the three strikes. You know, we have that 3-strike law here.
Yeah.
I don't think
It's not even a strike.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm gonna look that up because I don't want to get fact checked. But I'm pretty sure human trafficking.
Yeah.
But it's like, why would they not consider human trafficking a serious felony? You know, serious crime. That makes
All
them.
the patterns are there. They're trying to lower the consent. They're just sick.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's it's crazy. Like I don't understand it.
I don't know. I was talking to Gloria, and it's like, if you think about it, we we're we're like in a movie. Like, I don't even think you could make this up in a movie. Really, it has to be like satire, like type of movie.
Yeah,
Like, you could literally take some of the stuff that's happening right now and put it out in the theater, and it'd be like, this is crazy satire, type of um, plot or whatever you want to call it.
yeah. It's it's insane that human trafficking, in a sense, is a political. Like, how could you put it? It's a partisan issue, I guess. Like, that's weird to me.
Yeah,
That you have one side saying let's make this a crime, and the other side says no. Like, that's completely weird. And it's like like what you say a little bit ago. You'd have to like tell me in what world that makes sense, or
yeah,
because it's crazy. It's crazy.
yeah. I just really hope that people are waking up with
Mhm.
with this extreme BS that's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, just not to change the subject or anything like that, but right before I came up here, Gloria was telling me that Arnold Schwarzenegger was out there filling potholes or
Was
something like that. Yeah, on his street or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but isn't that crazy? He's an ex-governor. He's probably like close to 80 years old. He was over there on COVID. Is he the one that said "fuck your rights"
Yeah,
or
he
"fuck your
said.
freedom"?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Hold on, I'll look at the story right now. It says, here, I'll share this. It says, fed up by LA pothole, Arnold Schwarzenegger fills it himself.
so,
Fed up by
Governor, where are our tax dollars?
I mean, he would know, right? He's, like you said, ex-governor. He fed up by an enormous pothole in Los Angeles neighborhood, Arnold Schwarzenegger picked up a shovel and filled it himself. The actor and former California governor tweeted a video on Tuesday of him and a helper using packaged concrete to repair the road in the Brentwood area.
How sad.
Yeah,
See, like, does that even make sense?
there he is.
You can only imagine where he lives, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ex-governor.
I think that Brentwood area is like one of the richest areas in LA County.
That's insane.
Yep.
You would think their roads would be all nice and well pristine. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's
But it just goes to show you is that's where they want this world. I mean, the United States to be third world country.
yeah. Just looking this up right now, it says, how expensive is it to live in Brentwood, California? Brentwood housing expenses are 81% higher than the national average. And the utility prices are 30% higher than the national average. Transportation expenses like bus fares and gas prices are 34% higher than the national average. Brentwood has grocery prices that are 30% higher than the national average. So it's like you said, right? That's the community he's in, where you would imagine that, the amount of money they pay. I can only imagine the amount of property taxes they
Oh
pay.
yeah.
Where that shouldn't even be. That should have been, you would imagine, boom, right away, taken care of. But not even there. So imagine the rest of the state. That just
Oh
goes to
man,
show you,
Arnold.
if you're not in California and you want to know how bad it is, Arnold Schwarzenegger is filling a pothole in his street.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey, Arnold. We need potholes filled up over here too. So, grab your shovel and get your ass over here.
oh man,
Talk about a rhino. Talk about a rhino.
Oh man, yeah, it's it's crazy, man. And then just kind of going back to what we were talking about at the beginning is, so they're going after the young minds, right? They're going to use influencers, probably from, Instagram, TikTok, which, that whole TikTok thing doesn't make sense, but they're using those young people to influence the young people. Because I think that when it came to the 2020 election, if I'm not mistaken, that's one area where Biden, quote unquote, did good, was with, that young demographic. And it makes sense. Kind of like, you were saying, like, people don't usually wake up till they're hitting close to their 30s and then they kind of realize everything that's going on. So they're able to take advantage of those. How can I say it?
Impressionable minds.
Those, those. I don't want, in a sense, uneducated voters. Not that they're not educated people. Just when it comes to voting and how this whole political process is at that moment in time, majority of them aren't that educated. There are some random kids here and there that really know their stuff. Like that one kid I was talking to that one time, I think his name's Max. Like that guy, he's young. I don't think he's 18 yet, but he's, you know what I mean? He knows what's up. But majority are not like him, so they target that. And, the manipulation and all that stuff, kind of not just social media, but, another area where we've talked about before that they're using for that, also that manipulation, is schools. And, the House Republicans are trying to pass which is basically, I think the way they're titling it is a Bill of Rights, Parents' Bill of Rights. And it's basically so that parents are in the know as far as what's being taught, what's in the curriculum. I think basically test scores, how the school is ranking. You know what I mean? So basically the parent is informed as to what their kids are being exposed to and how well the school is performing in real time. You know what I mean? Not waiting till the end of the year and find out, the school ranks at the bottom. So then it gives parents a choice to be like, all right, well, this school sucks. I'm going to send my kid to another school. You know what I mean? So it gives them that freedom, that knowledge to know, because a lot of people, like we said before, it's not easy to pull your kids out of school and homeschool.
Mm-hmm.
They rely on it, but also it's like, just because we rely on those systems doesn't mean it's, our kids are up for grabs and you can do whatever the hell you want or show them whatever the hell you want in the schools.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to what we were talking about a while ago, is that, listen to the words that the politicians start using. So when they start saying that the kids belong to the community, it sounds like it's something good, but
Mm-hmm.
like really listen to what they're saying. Is that if you accept that train of thought,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying that, yeah, your kids belong to the community, and their future in molding them is in the community's hand. And then
Mm-hmm.
who's in charge of the community?
Yeah.
We talked about people that rise to power, being
Mm-hmm.
corrupt, maybe not having the best intentions.
The loudest person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're giving your kid up to the community and whoever influences the community. There we go back again
Mm-hmm.
to the whole influence thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take a position and say, no, the kids belong to the family that are part of a community,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
they don't belong to the community. You have to, you really have to think about it, and you have to reject that position. Is they belong to our family, they belong to the family, and as parents or leaders of the family, you're the biggest influence on the kids' lives. That, in my opinion, that's the only way to have a healthy family and have a healthy community,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all part of the manipulation, brainwash, and influencers.
Yeah. And that's a thing too. It's like, instead of calling influencers, we should call them manipulators, because that's all they're doing. It's not like, how could you put it? Influencer, like we said before, right? Like, as a parent, you should be the biggest influence. I think, the only people that should be looked upon as an influence is, your parents or, close family.
Mm-hmm.
That's an influence there.
And the good ones in your family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's not all of them either.
Yeah.
But your parents should be your influence. Now, the term influencer on people outside of that, I don't think that should be the term used for them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody should be considered an influencer. Now, I get people grow a following, and, they do have an effect on people, right? Good or bad, they have their effect. But now, when you have something like when they're targeting specific people to deliver a specific message that ends up getting them a specific result, then you're not just influencing, you're manipulating.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's spot on, because it's semantics. It's
Mhm.
like, if they manipulation has a negative connotation to it, so
Mhm.
they're not going to choose. They're not going to select that word. Influencer sounds nice because we'll use it. Hey, my mom was a good influence on me.
Mhm.
I'm trying to have a positive influence on my kids.
Mhm.
So it's a nice word. It's a safe word.
Right.
That's why they choose it.
Right. Yeah. And then yeah. And then like, again, it's those words that sound nice. You know what I mean? And then people don't think much of it. And you go, oh, okay, this, especially younger kids, the target is, oh, this person's influence. So he must be a good person, must know a lot, must be knowledgeable. So when that person speaks, posts anything, then you think, okay, this person knows what they're talking about. Because again, I think I had said it before. It's like, you see someone that is perceived to be successful, and you think, oh, okay, this person made good decisions, smart, knows know what he's doing, knows what he's saying, or he or she is saying. So you imagine, you know what I'm trying to say. So you see
Yeah.
them post something, and you go, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe that makes sense. And then,
Yeah.
there you go. Like, there's that little seed gets planted, and you start giving them a little bit more credit than they perhaps deserve.
Yeah. I I just really think it's semantics. They're just playing to what sounds good, what sounds nice,
Mm-hmm.
what brings good thoughts. It's like hitting certain receptors in your brain, and it's like, oh, that's a nice word, so it can't be bad, type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But believe me, I mean, if if the White House is paying these influencers and all of that stuff, the way that my brain works is, why are you telling me that, and why are you leading me this way? I start questioning it right
Mm-hmm.
away, and it's kind of crazy that they actually put that out in the open. That's insane. That
Yeah,
just goes to show you.
they're
I
playing.
don't think that they're gonna be able to cheat the way that they've been able to cheat in the past. So now they have to find a different way.
Mm-hmm.
There, I think look it up right now, but Carrie Lake got served another win on a court hearing. I think what it said was that they are going to be able to subpoena ballots or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Now, if where they're being stored in the building catches fire and they all get destroyed before they review them, that's a real possibility. All of a sudden, the evidence is gone.
Called this free controlling and her legal chance the second win in her election fight earlier this week. The court dismissed most of Lake's claims disputing her loss, but sent her claim regarding signature matching back to trial court in Maricopa County. So,
You
something
get it?
about signature matching.
Yep. So they're gonna look up the signature matching on the ballots.
Okay.
So I guess a judge in a lower court ruled against her on that,
Mm-hmm.
and this judge said that that court had come to that decision prematurely,
Mm.
so they're going to allow it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's stuff going on behind the scenes still.
Yeah.
Still, it's not over.
Mhm.
People say, "Oh, wishful thinking, all of that is not gonna matter," but it's still going on, man.
Yeah. I think, it's it's very important that parents, like we said, be the biggest influence. So, staying involved with their kids, what they're exposed to. Um, I think more, like you said, a lot of this stuff isn't going to work because I think more people are waking up to that, right?
Yeah,
And they're noticing it, and then like they're putting it out there. It's like, yeah, we're going to use social media to target these young adults. So it's like, as parents, the way, like I said, the way I read that is like, okay, they're coming after, the young kids, the younger kids, the young adults that they're just going to use, manipulate, and you know what I mean, move on, gain their power. And we've talked about it before. It's they're great at promising things and not delivering them, and then they
yeah,
don't talk about it, and then election time comes up. It's the same playbook. They'll start talking about it again. But as a parent, the best thing you could do is stay involved. I think the best way you had put it was, you know, basically as a parent, you have to know your kid. So you know where they, you know where they stand, you know what they're exposed to. And when the time comes when they're older adults, you're not caught off guard by anything. You know what I mean? They didn't, whatever, all these attempts, because they are attempts at fracturing your home, didn't work because you were there, you know, giving that balance to these situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and look at the age group that they're targeting, 18 to 29. So if you do what you just said, they won't even stand a chance before they're 18. They'll be like, I can see that BS a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Get away from me.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that would be the goal.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the, because I do use social media, right? And, the way that I look at it as far as what I do is like, okay, I'm trying to combat that stuff, right? And I think the main goal, kind of like you said now, is to not so much like on the political end, but just in general, just anyone that's a parent or anyone that's a young adult to kind of, if they ever see this stuff, hear this stuff, that they understand like, okay, the goal is for you to be the influence. Or if you're young, the goal is for you not to get influenced by anybody other than, like I said, your family or that, close family members that are, positive influences in life. Because, there are bad influences too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's, like you said, that's the goal is to get people to realize that. Because I think once they realize that and they start doing that, and shoot to be that, or make it their goal, yeah, then none of this stuff is going to work. They're going to have to find another strategy to get to these young minds.
Yeah, and right now that you were just saying that, it reminded me of what I think it was the last episode at the end we were talking about. Um, I mean, the only thing that we can speak to is being Latinos, Mexican
Mm-hmm.
American.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was gonna say is we were talking about how in our Latino culture there could be a lot of negativity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we kind of, and I'm not look. There's there's a lot of positive, but I think from my experience, the Mexican American or Mexican culture, there is a little bit too much of negativity,
Yeah.
um, especially with the. I don't know if it's joking around or if it's. I
Yeah.
don't. I can't explain it, but let's say, for example, that you know, a son is sitting around the table, right, or the living room, and I don't know, maybe he's in his early 20s or something like that, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start up a business,"
Mm-hmm.
and then you'll have, you know, family member or multiple family members turn around and go, "You, you're gonna start a business? How in the world are you gonna start a business?" and stuff like that, and they start, making
Yeah.
fun, bagging on him, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and I talk to people, and they say the same thing that they, have experienced
Mm-hmm.
that in their culture, in our culture, I should say. So, I don't know. We have to make a conscious effort that we don't have that reaction and we turn it around. Instead of saying you can't do
Mm-hmm.
something, it's like, okay, yeah, you could do it, but
Yeah.
I think, put a positive spin on it. You could definitely do it, but
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have to be a little bit more disciplined in order to do it, but you can do it type of thing. You know what I mean?
You're gonna have to put in the work, but as long as you do it, you'll be, yeah, you'll get through. You'll be successful. Yeah,
But,
no, I agree with that.
our favorite comedian, George Lopez, I think he even has bits about you know, you know, family members or just Latinos doing that, talking shit.
Yeah,
It's like, tú, it's like you're gonna do that. It's like condescending, response like that.
yeah.
So I don't know if you can relate to that, but I've had a lot of positive influences in my life, but I've definitely seen that in
Well, yeah,
my family and stuff like that.
yeah, I've seen that too, where someone says something and it's kind of like, you know,
Yeah, like
I get it because sometimes, you'll see someone that says that, and in your mind, you might think like, oh, damn.
yeah,
But there's people that actually say it out loud,
yeah.
and I've
Well,
seen that.
well, I mean, it's not reinforcing to the person that is saying it. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's like, um, you laugh in their face or something like that, and it's like, oh damn, then I really can't do it. And
yeah.
in a small way,
You shut it
you have
down.
a negative influence. Talking about influence, but you have a negative, you know, um,
Mm-hmm.
reaction, and you might, instead of giving them confidence to be able to work harder or and achieve that, you bring them back, you put them down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need more of that positivity
Yeah,
in all culture for sure.
and I think that goes into something like, um, what I've been saying before, and I kind of wanted to talk about, but I guess I don't know. We could talk about it a little bit right now. I guess is also the people that you're with, who you spend time with,
Mm.
who people that you trust, right? Or how can I put it? People that are going to elevate you in a sense where they're not going to bring you down. They're going to want to make you be a better person, right? And likewise, you're going to do the same for them. So I think it's all about who you're spending time with, who you're giving, your energy to, and what kind of energy they're giving you back.
Yeah, time time is the most valuable thing that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's that's why there's a lot of sayings, is that if you give your time to negativity, obviously it's wasted time. It's like you don't want to invest too much time into, or any time into, something negative or a negative situation, because it it's a time sucker. You rather do something productive. um you know uh Wasting that energy on something positive is going to bring back a lot more value than going down a rabbit hole of negativity. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
I hear you.
and it's something because I literally saw it today, and it's kind of what you know kind of what I've been thinking. It's a quote. It says, "Quit hanging out with people who don't want you to win."
Mm.
And it's like that's exactly, I guess, what I'm trying to get to, like what I'm trying to say when when I'm talking about like who you're hanging out with, right?
Mm.
People that don't want to see you do good, people that bring you down, or like you said, right? Because it is part of the culture too. But if you're still associating with those kind of people, and they're constantly bringing you down, and not building you up so that you do win, or you do have that positive reinforcement. If you do want to start a business, if you want to start I don't know, a podcast, if you want to start whatever you want to start, and if someone's always around you that kind of laughs in your face about it, then maybe the best thing is to let go of that person, because they might be the reason. Maybe if you feel like you're being held back, you're back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right now that you were saying that, I kind of, it goes back to my early 20s. Is sometimes you'll watch TV show or a movie or something like that, and these characters, they have like these great relationships with, kids that they went to school with, whether it's middle school, high school, or college, or whatever it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have like these great friendships. And I actually had to step away from some of those friendships because they weren't bringing anything positive. And
There's no
maybe
benefit.
it was, huh?
There's like no there's no there's no like benefit to your life.
There's
Like
no gain.
yeah, there's no
Yeah.
game. Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't know if it's because I got started young, as a father, as a
Mm-hmm.
parent, that I was like at a different level, mentally. I don't know if it was maturity or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
but I can definitely relate to that because, uh, like I said, I wasn't gaining anything, positive out of it. If I was hanging out, um, nothing good was coming of it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to express it other than that, but I had to step away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So, focuses went into, family, positive things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it is a decision that we can make personally,
Mm-hmm.
um, but we have to take the time and the effort, to think about it and actually do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so, I don't think anybody. I'll take that back. I was gonna say I don't think anybody wants to hang around negative people, but there's so many negative people that hang around with each other. Maybe I'm wrong. My dad has a he came up with this saying. I don't know if he came up with it, but he said it. So to me, it's his saying. So we were working together, and we were seeing someone that was kind of like struggling, going through the same problem over and over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just going like, wow, why? Why? Why
Mm-hmm.
do they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again? And he goes, but in Spanish, he goes, hay gente que le gusta sufrir. So there's just some people that like to suffer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
crazy.
not saying that that they wake up and they're like, I'm gonna suffer today,
Yeah.
but they don't even think about it, and they keep going through the same thing and they're suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So the only conclusion is that they must like it because they keep doing it over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
that's where that little saying comes from.
It's funny because in a sense, I've thought of that like, basically that saying, but in English, like there's people that just are used to or like to struggle. Like I've literally have had that thought because, you see people in, you know, doing certain things or in certain situations where, they always end up, like you're saying, end up with the same issue. It repeats itself. Same. And it's like, you know, there's people that's like, get a better job, you know, but they don't want more responsibility. So they keep that job that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That it's just barely getting them by, but they're still suffering. But hey, is it better than working hard or putting in some hard work to gain a little more? You know? So it's like, okay, then you like to struggle. That's
yeah,
you're struggling by choice,
yeah.
you know?
Well, um, we were driving in the area, and the weather was pretty ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It was cold. It was rainy, and Gloria and I were like, man, it was getting dark, and we were thinking, all these people out here homeless, they look. Everybody has different struggles, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I can imagine a homeless person has some deep mental, issues, maybe drug
Addiction.
addiction, a lot of those things, but the bottom line is that they're homeless because of those issues, and at the same time, it takes work to get out of those issues
Mm-hmm.
and putting yourself in a better situation, right? So we were kind of talking and going, but isn't that putting more stress on you? Like being out there, not eating well, having to worry about it being cold and, rain is going to start raining down on us
Mm.
and not having like proper shelter.
Yeah,
To
yeah,
me, like it's more mental stress to deal with that than going to work or
yeah.
dealing with the issues that might be having and getting out of that struggle. It's like you're trading one out for the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I learned a lesson where it's not good to judge, especially, like people that are homeless and stuff like that, because
Mm-hmm.
I was really young and I had made a comment about a homeless person. Oh, story time.
Story time. Gotta make
um,
that shirt.
yeah, is and I was driving to go get lunch with a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like about 19 and he was, I don't know, 50 or something like that. But he was cool, his friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving and I was talking smack about a homeless guy that was panhandling. And
Mm-hmm.
he was young. And I go, look at that guy, man. He's out there, he looks young. He could still work and, work for his money. And why is he out here panhandling? And I was talking smack. And then my friend turned around and he goes, hey, question for you. Did you have both of your parents growing up? And I was like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were they abusive towards you? No. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Were they alcoholics? No. Okay. Were they drug addicts? No. It's like, okay. So you had it pretty good. So the odds of you coming out, you know,
Mm-hmm.
mentally
Stable,
okay
maybe.
and
Yeah.
thinking right, the probability is higher that you came out okay, right? With
Mm-hmm.
that childhood. I'm like, yeah. So what's the point? He's like, okay, what about that guy? You don't know if he was a crack baby. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know if he, had just one parent at the house. Maybe was an alcoholic. Maybe was a drug addict. So the chances that he was growing up and having a good chance of being successful or, just mentally sane is the probability is a lot lesser, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, yeah. He's like, and you don't judge people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes it gets tough, you know. And not to say that the judging part, but like you said, you like especially nowadays, back when I was younger, when I would see homeless people, they had nothing, nothing. They literally just had the sign that said, need help for food or something.
And before it said, "We'll work for food."
Go work for food, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Um, I remember one time when I was young, I saw one homeless guy that says his sign said, "I'm not gonna lie, I just want more beer," you know.
Mm,
But he didn't have nothing, right? And I think what makes it hard today is you see a lot of people, and maybe kind of what you were saying. It's like they look able, like bodied, like they
mm,
look like you know, they could kind of get it together and go to work. And then specifically California, um, there's a lot of people that they look fine. You know what I mean? Because you could tell when you can, in a sense, you can see the homeless people that look like they have like real issues. You know what I mean? But then you see homeless people. Like the other day, we were driving by Costco, and there was a lady at the, when you're getting out of the what do you call it? Like the exit there, to turn onto the street, and she has a sign that, she needs money. She's homeless. But like her clothes look clean. She had like a nice looking backpack. She had like sunglasses. You know what I mean? Like she didn't look she didn't look like she was struggling.
Yeah, she didn't look the
You know what I
part.
mean? She didn't look the part. And I think there's a lot of that here in California that makes it tough to like not be like, you know, you know, why isn't this person they they look fine, right? Okay, maybe it is mental, but it's to the point where it's like, you know, people are pushing around nowadays 2 or 3 carts full of stuff. Somehow all these homeless people have tents. I seen a person with a tent. I bought a tent last year when we went camping, right? That tent cost like $200 something. I didn't even want to buy it, but it's like, all
Mhm.
right, we gotta go camping, right? I seen homeless people with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
where'd they get that tent? Like, it hurt. It hurt me to go buy that tent, and they got it.
yeah.
It's just it's a weird homelessness. I think homelessness in California has a weird dynamic to it too, where it's tough. It's tough because yeah, there are people that are really struggling, but I think here in the state too, there's also people that are doing it by choice.
Well, I mean, it's something that's really difficult to dissect
Mm-hmm.
because dealing through all those different pressures, where they're mental, physical, or um, just life experiences, are very difficult to deal with. It takes work, to push through it. And I think what you're trying to say is that it's like it just shows, like, I don't know, maybe how weak people are
Mm-hmm.
nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
They rather
Take the easy road,
live
like
well, and it's hard to
innocent.
say easy way because, like I
Yeah,
was saying, it must be a struggle to deal with all that crap too.
yeah.
But it's like, which one takes less effort, I guess. I don't know.
Mm.
The struggle of trying to be successful and holding a job,
Paying your
or the
bills.
struggle of being homeless. It's like, which one takes less effort? Being homeless takes less effort. I guess
Mm-hmm.
that's why, if you've got a road, a road that turns into a Y, it's like you got this direction and you got this direction. Which one is the one that has the least amount of effort that I can put
Mm-hmm.
into? And it's like, well, it's this one, so go down this one.
Yeah,
But it's still a struggle, different
yeah,
struggles. But this one has less effort. You know?
yeah. That one has less work hours.
Yeah,
You
better hours.
if you live in California, better benefits.
Probably, you never
I don't know.
know.
It's just it is tough, because yeah, there are people that suffer for reals, are going through things, have gone through things that affected their life and their decision making, kind of what they, again, like we've been talking about, if kind of going to the story you were saying, like if a person grows up with an alcoholic father, abusive family, drug issues, whatnot, yeah, the chances of that kid doing well off later on in life is probably lower because he was influenced by terrible parents. And it's kind of, again, it ties back into, in a sense, it ties back into what we're talking about, where that's why it's important to be the best influence, to your kid, because yeah, it affects them in the long run, right? It affects their decision making later on in life. And if you're able, I'm not saying make every perfect decision, because obviously as parents also, and as people growing in this world and going along with the world, is everyone's gonna have their faults or make their mistakes, as far as, you know I should have done this, instead I did this, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you learn from that, and then you, next time a decision like that comes along, then you make the better decision. And even if your kids see you make that mistake, they're gonna see you also correct that. You know what I mean? They're gonna see you
Yeah.
not let that mistake bring you completely down and tear you apart. It's like, okay, yeah, you can have mistakes, but you got to learn from them, and you got to, you know, do better the next time around, and focus on your kids, focus on your family, and how you're being that influence in their life, because that's what it should be. As the parent, you should be the biggest influence in your kid's life. So I think it ties into like kind of what the questions your friend was giving you into this.
Yeah, it does. So there's a lot of stories about, let's say that two siblings growing up with the same parents or parent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that the father is alcoholic, abusive, or whatever the case may be. So you'll have one sibling that will take that experience and thrive because they don't want to be
They don't want to be that.
anything like that. They want to be the opposite of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other sibling falls
Mimics
right
it.
into the same footsteps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough because what makes this one person go this way and what makes that other person go the other way,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just having that mental fortitude, to want to be able to succeed. And going back to making decisions is like, in order for you to be a good influence or the biggest influence in your kids or siblings or family's life, is at the end of the day, you want to make more good decisions than bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And someone at work, actually, I was looking up the quote that he had, or not the quote, but the estimated average adult makes 35,000 remotely conscious decisions each day.
Mm-hmm.
So out of those 35,000 decisions that you make in a day, if you make 17,500 positive ones instead of bad ones,
Yeah,
you're off to a good start. But the goal should be trying to get closer to that 35,000, good decisions,
yeah,
a day.
yeah,
And I think if people, just kind of think about approaching their days like that, um, I think it'll make a huge difference for sure.
yeah. I believe so as well. It's yeah. Try to. I think people can make efforts. Real good conscious efforts to not make a decision that would be a negative one. Because I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of things where like, okay, if I do this, like the consequences, the outcome of that are probably not good. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this. Um, and I, it's it's just life, right? You gotta, if you're a person, with some sort of moral values in you, that's gonna steer you in the correct direction a lot of the time when it comes to your decision making. You know, I feel that it'll help you make better decisions. That's my opinion. That
Yeah.
someone that's kind of like we've been talking about, someone with no morals isn't gonna be like, you know what, that's the terrible way to get into power or to get what I want, but hey, it's the easy way, right?
Hmm.
So that,
Or straight up, I don't give a damn.
yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
yeah, I'm gonna get what I want.
Yeah.
So, it's and it's not always about that. And sometimes you do got to put in the work. Sometimes you do have to, you know, it's not always an easy I think I've said this before. Everything's not always going to be an easy victory, and you're not going to get everything you want sometimes in one swoop. You know what I mean? There are some of these things in life. They're long battles that you got to make sure, hey, you got to keep fighting them, and eventually you get to where you want to be. But to expect everything in one, that's unrealistic.
Yeah, or everything to go, like you said, to go everything in your favor, in your way. You just gotta, I don't know, you gotta find ways to pick up yourself and keep moving forward.
Yeah. Unless you're Joe Biden on election day at 4 a.m.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Everything went his way for like 3 hours.
But he won.
Yeah, he won. But yeah, man. No, I think it's another good one.
Yeah, we went all over the place.
But hey, it all connected.
At the end of the day,
it all
came together.
Yeah, it all comes down to, they're trying to manipulate you. But, as the parent, they're trying to manipulate your kids. Stay on top of your kids. Be the biggest influence. Know your kids. And all this other crap they're trying to do, it ain't going to work.
Mm-mm.
That's a good shirt. It ain't going to work.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I think it's very, how could you call it? Like the conversation is like very complex because, like we said at the beginning, it could go into different things. But, in a sense, it's very simple as far as what you as a parent or as a person have to do to combat this. If that makes, you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah. It's simple. But you have to put the effort in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot I think that the majority of life is exactly that. Mm-hmm. It's there's simple things, but the main ingredient to make it work is effort. That's it.
Hard work. Yeah.
It's like at work, I would see people looking at the task in front of them, and they're just sitting like this with one hand on their hip and thinking, damn, that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just come up behind them and I would go, the hardest part is getting started.
Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, you get started and you start going, and 2 hours go by and damn, I got a lot accomplished.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't that bad.
Yeah. One thing that I like to do too, it's kind of similar to that. But like when I hear people go like, oh, I got to do this and this, I just go, that's it. And then it kind of is like, hey. Like, oh, that's no problem. Well, let's do it. Yeah. Right.
That's no huge feat. Just.
Yeah. I got to do 17 CPR classes. That's it. But hey, you do it, right? You get it done.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because the hardest part is just getting started.
Yeah. That's true. All right, then. Well, we'll catch everybody on the next episode. Have a good one.